Shaun, what do you think about this? You've been in these situations before. Do you think Oregon's going to get tight in this game?
I don't think they're going to get tight. They have a lot of experience on their offense and defense. You know, Bo Nix started at Auburn, second year at Oregon. So they came into the season with Pac-12 title hopes and aspirations. So I don't think tight is the word I use. I think they're excited because obviously Colorado has galvanized the national media when it comes to college football. Have you ever seen Game Day and Big Noon go to the same city? So, I mean, and they were playing a team that were favored by 24 points over. So I just think that shows the power of Deion's brand and how big the Buffs brand has become. So I think it's excitement that'll be, within the locker room in Oregon because you get to play on this big stage. I don't think tight will play into it.
Well, Shaun, what do you think of that spread around 3 touchdowns for Oregon? To me, I totally understand where it's coming from, especially after what happened at Colorado State and Travis Hunter hurt. But it feels I don't totally get it. Can you explain?
Well, I think this is the first time this has ever happened. And so for once, the bookmakers are guessing. And to anybody who's listening who doubts me, they made TCU 21-point favorites, and Colorado won outright.
Yep.
Then they come back and make Colorado only a 3-point favorite over Nebraska, and they won by, almost 30, if I'm not mistaken. Then they made Colorado State 23-point underdogs, and Colorado had to go to overtime to beat them. So they've been completely wrong every week.
It's a great point.
So I think they're finding out because we've never seen a roster with this much turnover, a program that was, for the most part, terrible in the last decade, and all of a sudden, and you get this influx of talent. How do you go about, putting in your power rankings? And I think they're figuring Colorado out as they go.
Shaun King is joining us, the Super Bowl champion quarterback, host of VSiN Prime Time. Got to get to some NFL stuff, but last one for you on Colorado, which is Shedeur Sanders. What does he project to at the next level, Shaun?
Well, I think right now he's in a competition with Drake May, in my opinion, to be the second quarterback taken in this draft. I think he's that good. I did see an interesting clip, though. Deion and his sons went to the Broncos Commanders game, and Deion doesn't do anything by mistake. He made it a point to say that Shiloh and Shedeur will both be back in Colorado next year. But in my opinion, with the way he's playing, if he maintains this level of performance, even if they start losing some games, because their schedule's about to get more difficult, but if Shedeur continues to play at this level, I think he'll be in a race with Drake May to be the second quarterback taken behind Caleb Williams.
Play a little devil's advocate. You can get NIL money, and Colorado they'll get the biggest NIL deals ever if he comes back. Maybe he wants to be number one and not be with Caleb Williams. Could that be a factor in this?
Yeah, but again, I don't understand the NIL thing. Unfortunately, I was born about 20 years too early. I couldn't imagine being in college, full scholarship, don't have any bills, and then you get an extra. I think Shedeur's making 3 and Caleb's making 4 something. So, it's something to think about. I heard Caleb Williams and his father say, depending on who got the number 1 pick, they might consider staying. But at the end of the day, is there really a bad NFL team? For the most part, they're in legitimate cities. It's only 32 of these companies in the world. So, hell, Mahomes is in Kansas City. He's undoubtedly the best quarterback. Josh Allen's in Buffalo. Joe Burrow's in Cincinnati. So it's not like any of the top, 3, 4 guys right now are in major cities, and they're still superstars.
Yeah, I think you can't get too cute with this kind of stuff too, right? That guaranteed money he'd get as a first-round pick in the NFL is going to be bigger than the NIL stuff. Shaun King is joining us, Super Bowl champion quarterback and host of VSiN Prime Time. Let's get to the NFL. Shaun, what do you do with Joe Burrow right now? Shaun, Zach Taylor, part of me, is being really close to the vest on whether or not he's going to be available this week. You're in an 0-2 hole. Do you sit Joe Burrow if you're the head coach?
Well, they started slow last year, and they kind of hit their stride. again, I don't love the way he handles the offseason. He does not play his starters in the preseason games. And I think that's why they end up having these slow starts. I think Mike Tomlin said it best when asked about, why he plays his starters so much in the preseason. And he said it's hard to box without sparring. And so I think some of Cincinnati's struggles, at least offensively, are just rust, not having enough reps in live competitive situations. So injury-wise, that's just something we won't know. That soft tissue injury to the calf, you think it's healed. Obviously, he took a bad step late in the Ravens game. He looked like he re-injured it or aggravated it. So we won't know. But I think the bigger, more alarming thing for Cincinnati, what are they really good at? I mean, they can't rush the quarterback. They can't defend the run. They struggle to defend the pass. They're very, very average overall on defense. And offensively, they're not really great at anything right now either. So I know they've been really good the last 3 years, but maybe there's some legitimate questions they have to answer regarding this 23 team.
All right, I got a trivia question for you, Shaun. Baker Mayfield, 2-0 without throwing an interception. Can you name the last Bucs quarterback to do that?
Yeah, it actually got me benched. Like, he better adjust something, but it was me.
They got you benched.
How did it get you benched?
So I started that year. We went 2-0. I didn't throw a pick. Started 3-1 or something like that. Anyway, we went 10-6. And, for a first-year starter, I thought I was statistically pretty good, but they decided to bring Brad Johnson in that offseason. And he got a whopping 5-year, $25 million deal. And I didn't sleep for a week because I was like, I just got robbed in Bright. And now, hell, the third-string quarterback is getting 5 years, $25 million.
Yeah, it feels a little light.
So we had a debate earlier in the show. If you could have one quarterback this year, Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr, who would you choose?
I'd probably go with Baker.
What are you seeing there?
It's something about Baker that kind of makes me think he has not reached his ceiling. And I think you're starting to see it. He's got an opportunity with Tampa. I'm not jumping off the ledge and saying go get a Baker Mayfield for MVP ticket, but I mean I've surrounded Derek Carr with Darren Waller, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, and he hadn't got it done. To be honest, this is probably one of the more talented teams offensively that Baker's ever been a part of. I mean Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You look on that defense. Levante David, Shaq Barrett. The Bucs got some big names. I told people this before the season. The only thing really missing from last year is Brady. So I would take Baker to answer your question. I'm not a big Derek Carr fan.
Shaun King joining us just for a minute or two more, the former Super Bowl champion quarterback, host of VSiN Prime Time. Shaun, Aaron Rodgers have talking some crazy stuff about his timeline or suggesting some crazy stuff, keeping the door open that he could return before the end of this season. You're a former quarterback. You hear that and think what?
Well, I just want to say it sucks, man. And I really haven't been Aaron's biggest fan because I don't think that he handled the last 2-3 years in Green Bay, the way that I would have wanted him to. But no one wants to see the Jets season derailed on the fourth play. Like, we got Hard Knocks. We got the entire, anticipation throughout the offseason. Jets finally have a quarterback. I drafted Garrett Wilson in the damn second round in fantasy football. Like, for all myriad of reasons, no one wanted to see Aaron get hurt. Listen, he had talked about retiring the last couple of years in Green Bay. Most people thought at most he would be in New York for 2 years. So I do think there's some desperation, to what he's talking about right now because he knows if he takes a traditional avenue to rehab, he probably never plays again, right? Like, I couldn't imagine that he's going to, traditionally an Achilles, I mean, unless you're Adrian Peterson or somebody, right, one of these superhumans, I mean, it's a 12-month legit thing, right? So I hope it works for him. I mean, he's always kind of been outside the box. What's that thing when he goes and sits in the dark? And, I don't know what Aaron got going, but, hey, I hope it works out for him. He's been a great player. The Jets deserve better.
Are you surprised they haven't signed a veteran yet?
No, not really. The only one that I think can come in and help him is Jameis Winston, but because Jake Hayner got suspended, the Saints only have two quarterbacks on the roster, Carr and Winston, so I couldn't see them moving Winston. Other than that, I mean, none of those other guys are really going to upgrade you. I mean, I've heard Jacoby Brissett mentioned, but I mean, what's that going to do? Get you, 6 meaningless wins? I would say this about the Jets. Where's the defense? I mean, I heard every episode of Hard Knocks, all I heard them talk about was how tough and physical and dominant they were going to be. And they had a golden opportunity against Dallas this past Sunday to prove it. And I really came away unimpressed with the Jets defense. So, as you take questions and you talk Jets, don't just, fall in love with blaming Zach Wilson, because he was never supposed to be elite this year. That defense allegedly was supposed to. I hadn't seen it yet.